All right, boys and girls, it's time to do some more math. When we left off, we were at this point in the lesson. So I want you to turn to the third page in your packet, and we're going to solve this following equation for r. Okay, I got 3 divided by 2r equals 1/4. Now, in order to make this easier for me, I want to rewrite this equation over here because I need room to work, and I suggest you do the same. And I want to make this as easy as possible for me, so I am going to get rid of all my fractions. How do I do that, you might ask? Well, let's get rid of the fraction over here on the right. Let's get rid of the 4 in the denominator, and I can simply do that by multiplying both sides by 4. Remember, if I do something to one side, I also have to do it to the other. Now, I choose to multiply by 4 because these 4's end up canceling out, and I'm left with 1 on the right side. On the left side, I multiply 4 times 3. I get 12 over 2r. Now that I've done that, I want to get rid of the fraction on this side of my equation. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2r. And what happens here is on the left side of the equation, my 2r's cancel out, and I get 12 equals 2r. Now, in order to finish, you can get r by itself by dividing by 2, and r equals 6. Put a box around that because that is your answer. Now, for the second one, solve for s. This one's a little different. We haven't gone into this type of problem before, so I want you guys to pay close attention. I really don't need to do another write it out again because I got plenty of room here. The first thing I want to do is I want to get this s squared by itself. Now, I do that by, again, drawing my line down the side. I'm going to subtract both sides by 5. And what happens is these 5's go away. I'm left with s squared equals 30 minus 5 is 25. Now, I got to think about what number times itself. That's what this squared means. So what number times itself equals 25? Well, in order to do that, I can do one of two things. I can either punch 25 into my calculator and then press the button that has that symbol. And that's a square root symbol. Okay? Now, if you remember back to your earlier math, you'll remember that 5 times 5 is 25. So the square root of 25 is 5. And here's how we do this. We write a square root bracket over both sides. And then the square root of s squared is just s. S times s equals s squared. And then 5 is the square root of 25. But think about this. Negative 5 is also the square root of 25. So I need to take into account both the positive and the negative square root of 25. And this is my answer. Okay? This plus or minus thing is going to come up quite a bit. Lastly, I want to solve this for y. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get all my y's on one side and everything that's not y on the other side. So I want you to pause the video for a minute and do this on your own, and then watch me as we do it together. Okay, now that you're back, let's subtract 4y from both sides. So then I get negative 3 equals y minus 8. And now to get y by itself, I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Here, the y or the 8's go away. I'm left with y. And over here, I'm left with 5. So y equals 5 is my answer. If you got that right, give yourself a star. If not, that's okay. We will get some practice later on. Now, I want to show you that there are many ways to skin a cat when we're doing algebra. Okay? We're going to start with the equation 3x plus 4 equals 8x minus 16. And I'm going to solve for x 4 different ways. So I'm going to do 3x plus 4 equals 8x minus 16 4 times. 3x plus 4 equals 8x minus 16. And one more time. And we're going to do these one at a time. So we're going to do group 1 first. I'm going to draw a line, and I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides, just like it says to do. And I want you to do this, figure out what x is by using this as your first starting point. So the x's cancel out here. I'm left with 4 equals 8x minus 3x is 5x minus 16. Finish that out on your own. Pause the video and then come right back when you're done, and we'll solve this together. All right, now that you're back, let's add 16 both sides. So then I get 20 equals 5x. And then I got to divide both sides by 5. And 20 divided by 5 is 4, and that is equal to x. So that's on the first one. In group 2, I want to start by subtracting 4 from both sides. So when I subtract 4 from both sides, I'm going to do minus 4 here, minus 4 here. And then what do I get? Pause the video, finish this one on your own, see if you get the same thing as we got over here, or if you got something different, and then come back. Okay, now that you're back, we subtract 4 from both sides. I get 3x equals 8x minus 20. Negative 16 minus 4 gets me negative 20. Now I'm going to subtract both sides by 8x. So minus 8x over here, minus 8x over here, and I get the 8x's go away here. Positive 3x minus 8x gets me negative 5x equals negative 20. Don't forget that negative sign right there. Now to get x by itself, I have to divide both sides by negative 5 and negative 5. Negative 5x divided by negative 5 gets me x. Negative 20 divided by negative 5 gets me positive 4. Remember, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And that agrees with the first one, so that's good. Now, at this point, I want you to take a quick minute and put a star right here. This is how I know whether or not you guys are watching the video or just kind of doing the minimum. So if you're listening to me and you're doing it with me, put a star right there in the corner of your sheet. Okay? Now back to the video. Now we're going to do this same equation by subtracting 8x from both sides. Minus 8x on both sides. Again, pause the video and solve for x. See if you get x equals 4. And then when you're done, come back to the video and see how we did it together. Okay, now when you subtract 8x from both sides, on the left-hand side, I get 3x minus 8x, which is negative 5x plus 4 equals negative 16. Now I want to get rid of the negative 4 and get rid of the negative, or subtract 4 from both sides. So 4 minus 4 is 0, so I'm left with negative 5x on this side equals negative 20. And look, it looks exactly the same as over here. So when I divide by negative 5 again, I should get x equals 4, just like I did last time. Okay, lastly, we're going to add 16 to both sides. So when I add 16 to both sides, pause the video, solve for x, see if we get something that agrees with these. Now that you're back, let's do this. I get 3x plus 20 equals 8x, right? The negative 16 and the positive 16 cancel out. Now let's get rid of the 3x on this side. If I do that, I got to do that, right? So now I get 20 equals 5x. And then divide by 5, and 4 equals x. So 4 different ways of doing this, and the same answer every time. So it doesn't matter always what the order in which you do things are. As long as you adhere to the rules correctly, you will be able to do well in algebra.